Well, welcome to the Wednesday Word. Hey, our word today is hope. And Paul the Apostle in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 says something really intriguing. He says in verse 13, "But I do not want you to be ignorant, brethren, concerning those who have fallen asleep." Now he's talking there about those who have died. And then he says this, "Lest you sorrow as others who have no hope. For if we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so God will bring with him those who have died in Jesus." So Paul says, hey, when a loved one dies, we sorrow, but not as those who don't have any hope. Now, Peter gives us a reason for this. In 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 3, he tells us that we have been born again to a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead. That Jesus rose again from the dead. I like to say that Jesus beat death, so death doesn't have to beat us. So that we can have this hope that the Bible tells us that to be absent from this body is to be present with the Lord. And when the Bible talks about the word hope, it speaks of an absolute expectation of coming good. So it's something that you can count on. You can count on the fact that if you know Jesus and you die, when you breathe your last breath here on earth, you breathe your next breath in heaven. And you are there in God's presence. But then Paul in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and on into chapter 5 speaks about the hope that we also have in the coming again of Jesus Christ. And he begins to talk about the rapture of the church and the second coming of Christ, and how even though we're living in this world that can be so crazy and all these different things, going on, he wants our hearts to be filled with hope in knowing that he is coming again. Jesus put it this way in John chapter 14. He said to his disciples, "Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many dwelling places, and I'm going to prepare a place for you." And then he says this, "And I will come again to take you there, that you might be with me." And that's the hope that we have, that Jesus has prepared a place for us in heaven, that he's going to come again one day to receive us up to himself. And what's interesting is Paul, speaking about that hope that we have, he ends 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 with this word, "Therefore, comfort one another with these words." You see all this crazy stuff happening in the world? Hey, comfort one another in the reality that this is not the end, that Jesus is coming again. And then he says the exact same thing in chapter 5 when he ends that section in chapter 5 by saying this, "Therefore, comfort one another and edify or build up one another just as you are doing." Hey guys, the Lord wants us to know that we are people of hope. That we are people who can live knowing that we have an absolute, it can be counted on, expectation of coming good, whether it's when we die or as we continue to live here on planet Earth. We have this expectation of hope, coming good, that Jesus, who rose again from the dead and lives, is coming again. So I want to encourage you to rest in that hope today. In Jesus' name. Tonight we're going to be looking at verses 13 of chapter 4 all the way through chapter 5 in our study of 1 Thessalonians. It's going to be a great study as we're talking about the rapture, the second coming, and those type of things. I hope you can join us. God bless you.